The full moon has never simply been a symbol of beauty. It's not just something to be admired from a distance, it's something that reaches into you and rearranges what's ready to be undone. Not all light is soft. Not all awakenings come wrapped in stillness. Some arrive through pressure. Through friction. Through the slow collapse of what is no longer sustainable. This is what the full moon brings, sacred disruption. It doesn't politely ask what's ready to change, it exposes what can no longer stay. It doesn't whisper suggestions. It shines where you've been afraid to look. And what it stirs is not random. The restlessness. The emotional noise. The way your skin seems too tight, or your breath too shallow. You're not malfunctioning. You're being realigned. This light doesn't soothe. It shakes. It breaks the surface so that something true can finally rise. And if your life has felt louder, heavier, stranger in ways you can't explain, you're not alone. You're inside the shift. If something in this message resonates, if your body reacts before your mind has time to catch up, leave a word in the comments. Not to be seen, but to signal that you're listening. That you're present for what's unfolding. And if this kind of soul-deep guidance speaks to something ancient in you, subscribe. This isn't just another cycle. This is a portal. And you were never meant to walk through it asleep. Because before anything can realign, before a new pattern emerges, something old has to tremble. And that trembling begins here. Realignment doesn't begin with clarity. It begins with disruption. It doesn't come with a moment of peace or a flash of understanding. It arrives through discomfort, quiet at first, then louder, until it becomes impossible to ignore. That discomfort is not an error. It is a signal. And under the full moon's light, it becomes amplified. You may find yourself experiencing sudden emotional swings, as if your inner landscape is shifting faster than you can process. One moment you're clear, the next you're heavy. You move through familiar spaces and feel the tension rise for no clear reason. People you once flowed with now seem to clash with your energy. Places you once found calming now feel too loud, too crowded, too much. These are not random reactions. They are signs that something within you is shedding old energetic skin. Fatigue may arrive without warning. You wake up feeling like you've run miles through your dreams. Or you may swing in the other direction, wired, overstimulated, unable to sit still for long without a strange buzzing under your skin. Your nervous system is working overtime to process what the soul has already agreed to shift. The body feels the tremor first. It responds before your conscious mind can make sense of the change. This is the pressure of sacred disruption. It doesn't destroy without purpose. It dismantles what is no longer resonant so that something truer can take its place. Old thought loops, behavioral patterns, coping mechanisms that once protected you, they begin to feel unbearable, not because you've become weak, but because you're outgrowing them. The energetic structure of your inner world is being rewritten, and anything that cannot hold the new frequency must fall apart. Friction with others often becomes more intense during this time. You might find yourself triggered by words or tones that previously slid by unnoticed. Small conflicts flare into emotional avalanches. Or someone's silence suddenly becomes deafening. These interactions may feel destabilizing, but they're pulling your awareness toward deeper truths, about your boundaries, your needs, your wounds, and what no longer fits within the shape of who you are becoming. Don't be surprised if the urge to retreat appears stronger now. This isn't avoidance. It's instinct. Your energy field is in recalibration, and it needs space to do so. Being around others, especially those who haven't yet begun their own shift, can feel abrasive. You're not rejecting connection. You're honoring your own sacred adjustment. The mistake many make in moments like this is trying to push through the discomfort to return to their previous baseline of functionality. But this isn't about function. It's about transformation. You're not meant to stabilize an old system, you're meant to let it collapse. This is the collapse of the false center. The illusion of control. The version of you that was built around survival, around acceptance, around fitting in, around not being too much. And as those structures begin to fall, what remains is raw space. Undefined. Quiet. Strange. You may not recognize yourself in this stage, and that's natural. You are not breaking down. You are being reconfigured. A new internal architecture is forming, one built not on defense, but on resonance. It's messy. It's slow. It doesn't come with instructions. But it's real. You may feel like crying for no reason, needing silence more than usual, becoming irritable in ways you don't recognize. All of it is sacred. All of it is useful. The soul is teaching the body how to hold what it could not hold before. Let yourself be disoriented. Let yourself not know. Let the discomfort do its work. This is the unraveling that always precedes rebirth. This is the pressure that forms clarity. You don't have to fix what you're feeling. You only have to stay present with it. Sacred disruption always begins this way, with the body trembling, the emotions flooding, and the spirit saying quietly from within, "Not this anymore." The moon doesn't simply light the sky. It reveals what the sun cannot reach. And under the weight of her fullness, there is no more hiding. This is not the kind of illumination that flatters or inspires. It's the kind that exposes. The kind that searches your inner terrain for what has been tucked away, sealed shut, or emotionally bypassed. The full moon acts like a spiritual spotlight, and what it finds is often what you least expected to revisit. You may feel memories rise out of nowhere. A flash from a decade ago. A conversation that ended unresolved. A part of yourself you thought was long healed suddenly feels fresh and raw again. Past traumas, dormant or buried, surface, not to haunt you, but to ask for deeper release. They return not because you've failed, but because you're finally ready to meet them in a new way. A more grounded, integrated way. The pain isn't returning to stay. It's returning to leave. The phrase, "I thought I was over this," is common in times like these. But healing is not a staircase. It's a spiral. And every time the cycle returns, it offers you a chance to see it differently. To bring more compassion to a wound that was once met with judgment. To offer presence to an emotion that once overwhelmed you. What's rising now is not here to break you open, it's here because you're already open. These inner disruptions can feel strange. You may not have a logical link for what you're feeling. Grief may rise without a current loss. Shame may come back with no new cause. You may find yourself reliving a scene in your mind, wondering why it still holds power. But this isn't weakness. It's your emotional body doing sacred excavation. The full moon didn't invent the pain, it simply pulled the cover back from it. And in doing so, it creates a moment of choice. You can shove the feeling back down, tell yourself to move on, return to the performance of normalcy, or you can let it rise, breathe through it, and allow it to burn clean. Let it complete its movement. Let it teach you something you weren't ready to understand before. Because the truth is, what's rising now is not random. It's timed. It's coordinated. It's arriving because your system finally has the strength to hold it and the space to let it go. Some emotions don't release through thought. They release through presence. Through the breath you stay with. Through the tears you don't interrupt. Through the memory you stop running from. You don't need to analyze it all. You just need to honor what's alive. This is what the moon is doing, pulling up what was never truly gone, only hidden. And if it hurts, that doesn't mean you're regressing. It means the illusion of finished is falling away. Because healing is not about arriving at a place where nothing ever stirs. It's about learning how to stand fully present when something deep is surfacing, without retreating, without rejecting yourself, without shutting the door too soon. You are not being punished for feeling too much. You are being invited to release what no longer belongs to your field. What you once needed to hold has outlived its purpose. And in this light, the final layers can be witnessed and returned to the earth. Let the memories come. Let the emotions tremble. Let the truth, however inconvenient, rise. Because the moon doesn't lift what you're not ready to carry. It only reveals what's already asking to be freed. There is a certain silence that falls between people during times of energetic upheaval. It's not the silence of indifference, but the stillness before something shifts. And under the weight of the full moon's presence, connection is tested. Not because relationships are meant to fall apart, but because they are meant to reveal what's true. Energy-sensitive souls will feel it first, the way the air between two people changes. The tone of a conversation sharpens unexpectedly. A look lingers a little too long. A word hits deeper than intended. Or perhaps it's the absence that speaks louder, the slow withdrawal, the sudden coolness, the emotional space where warmth once lived. These moments aren't accidents. They are reflections. The full moon, in her clarity, begins to rewire the emotional circuitry between souls. You may notice emotional outbursts that seem disproportionate to the moment. Someone says something small and it unravels a memory, a wound, a buried truth. Or you find yourself saying something you didn't plan, revealing more than you meant to, crying when you don't know why. This isn't instability. It's exposure. Under moonlight, the mask of, "it's fine," rarely holds. The truth begins to push through, and connection becomes the mirror through which it rises. Vulnerability may surge. You may feel called to say what you've been holding in for too long. Or you may find yourself unable to tolerate the way someone's presence drains or diminishes you. Old relationship roles crack under pressure. The dynamic you've upheld begins to feel unnatural. What once felt safe begins to itch with misalignment. Not all of these relationships will end, but they will all transform. Some will deepen as truth is spoken, even awkwardly. Others will dissolve, not in drama, but in quiet release. Both are acts of alignment. Both are sacred. Because when your frequency shifts, your field starts rejecting what no longer resonates. It's not rejection of people, it's rejection of energetic patterns that no longer serve either side. You may feel guilty. You may feel unsure. But these emotional currents are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to engage differently, more honestly. To stop playing roles that keep you small. To stop enabling dynamics that silence your truth. The moon is not breaking your relationships, it is revealing the parts of them built on compromise, suppression, or illusion. This revelation can be disorienting. You may grieve the version of a bond that once brought you comfort, even if it was unbalanced. You may feel confused about how quickly the mood shifts or how someone suddenly sees you differently. But understand this, moonlight doesn't lie. It reveals. And once something is seen in its fullness, it cannot be unseen. Sometimes the people who trigger us the most are not enemies, they're catalysts. And sometimes, the person you need to confront most deeply, is yourself. Your expectations. Your silence. Your patterns. The way you've allowed yourself to be treated out of fear of being alone. All of this rises now, not to break your heart, but to free it. Let what comes, come. Let what leaves, leave. Let the connections that remain be purified by truth, not polished by pretense. You're not losing people. You're losing distortions. What survives this energetic threshold will be more solid, more real, more rooted in soul than in fear. And if things feel shaky between you and someone right now, pause before trying to fix it. This isn't about repair. It's about revelation. Let the light show you what was never being said. Let the energy between you speak, without rushing to silence it. Because sometimes, the space that opens between hearts is not the beginning of separation, it's the beginning of honest connection. The body always knows first. Long before the mind can organize an explanation, long before emotion can form words, the nervous system has already registered the shift. It senses the subtle pressure before it has a name. It contracts before it understands why. And under the weight of the full moon, when energy ripples through the unseen layers of your being, the body becomes the first translator of disruption. You may notice it without warning. A racing heart, even in stillness. Breath that shortens without exertion. A tightness in the chest that doesn't feel like fear, but doesn't feel like ease either. Sudden waves of heat that roll across your body like fire, or chills that arrive in a room that isn't cold. Tingling across the skin. A strange buzz beneath the surface. It can feel like something is wrong, but nothing's technically wrong. That's because this isn't dysfunction, it's the somatic language of transformation. These physical manifestations are not random, and they are not signs of weakness. They are how the body processes truth. They are how your system metabolizes the energy of change before your conscious self even realizes what's shifting. You are not broken. You are adjusting. You are attuning to a frequency that's higher, sharper, more aligned with where your spirit is being pulled. And your nervous system, so used to surviving, controlling, bracing, is now trying to reorganize around a new internal signal. For many, this comes with deep fatigue. A bone-level tiredness that doesn't respond to caffeine or sleep. You rest, but the exhaustion lingers. That's not failure, it's energetic recalibration. Your system is working overtime behind the scenes, dissolving what's dense, unwinding trauma patterns, and releasing old cellular memory. And rest doesn't always feel refreshing in these phases, it feels heavy because something is being moved. For others, the opposite occurs. You become wired. Overstimulated. Alert, even in the middle of the night. Sleep fractures into strange pockets. Dreams come too vivid, or not at all. You lie down, but the body refuses to shut down. This is because the spiritual processing hasn't stopped just because the day ended. The light may fade from the sky, but the moon's energy continues to stir your internal tides. Many spiritual shifts are subtle on the outside but loud in the nervous system. The body carries its own history. Not just physical memory, but energetic imprinting, moments you didn't cry when you should have, things you didn't say, tension you held to protect someone else's comfort. And now, under the amplified light of this full moon, that tension is trying to unravel. That breath you never finished is asking to be completed. The truth you stored in muscle, in posture, in frozen reactions, is rising for release. Your body is not betraying you. It is not malfunctioning. It is speaking in its clearest language. And if you find yourself needing to stretch more, breathe more deeply, ground into the earth with your bare feet, walk in silence, or simply lie still while the waves pass, listen to that. That's not laziness. That's regulation. That's presence. That's somatic permission to allow the sacred to settle inside your cells. And yes, it can be overwhelming. The heart may pound even without fear. You may sweat through the night without heat. You may feel lightheaded, unsteady, or unsure of what's real. But the more you resist these sensations, the more tension you add to what's already being untangled. Let it move. Let it shake. Let it vibrate through your limbs until it completes its cycle. You don't have to control this process. You only have to cooperate with it. This is why spiritual growth is not just an emotional journey, it's a physical one. Enlightenment isn't abstract. It's somatic. It happens through the body. Through your pulse. Through your sleep. Through your skin's reaction to truth. And if the body needs more water, more movement, more stillness, more sound, give it. That is sacred practice. That is sacred care. You don't need to know exactly what's being released to let it go. You don't need to fully understand the origin of the tremor to honor its exit. Sometimes your only job is to stay present. To say, yes, I feel you. You can move now. Because when the body finally feels safe enough to tremble, that's not weakness. That's healing. So if the sensations rise, welcome them. If you need to rest more, rest. If you need to cry without a reason, cry. If you feel like your edges are too thin, stay soft. Don't push through it. Move with it. This is the nervous system recalibrating for a higher frequency. This is your temple being rebuilt from the inside out. And no, it won't last forever. The shaking passes. The pressure softens. But when it does, you'll be standing on steadier ground, because your body will no longer be guarding what your spirit has already let go. There's a moment in every spiritual shift where it feels like everything is unraveling. The structures you built begin to crumble. The roles you once played no longer fit. Emotions you thought you outgrew return with unexpected weight. And somewhere in the middle of it all, you begin to question whether you're moving forward at all, or simply falling apart. But this is not collapse. This is the becoming. What's disintegrating is not your essence, it's the false scaffolding that has surrounded your truth for too long. The outdated stories, the inherited patterns, the protective masks that kept you small. They are not failing you, they are exiting. And what may feel like a breakdown is, in truth, the birth of a new alignment. There's a deep emptiness that can come during this phase. Not because you're lacking, but because what once filled your space no longer belongs. The distractions don't work. The comforts don't soothe. The identity you once leaned on begins to dissolve, and with it, the sense of certainty you once held on to. You may feel ungrounded, confused, emotionally raw. That's not a regression. That's energetic detox. Your system, emotional, physical, spiritual, is clearing itself of what was never yours to carry. Not just pain, but pretense. Not just sadness, but self-suppression. And as those layers are peeled back, what emerges isn't fully formed. Not yet. It's soft, uncertain, unfamiliar. And that's why this stage feels so vulnerable. Because the new self is still arriving, even as the old one fades. The full moon doesn't just bring light, it brings release. It clears space. It shakes the dust from the corners of your inner world so something truer can settle in. And that light, piercing as it may be, reveals what can no longer follow you forward. It shows you the version of yourself that was built around survival, and invites you to lay it down. There's grief in this process. Grief for the time you spent being who others needed you to be. Grief for the beliefs that once gave you structure but now feel like cages. Grief for the identities that helped you stay safe but kept you small. And that grief is sacred. It marks the threshold between who you were and who you're becoming. Emotional surges may continue here, waves of anger, sadness, sudden bursts of joy, unexpected clarity. They move through you because the energy no longer has walls to bounce off. You're more porous now. More honest. And that means everything flows more freely. Don't try to contain it. Let it flush through. Let it carve space inside you for what's next. You're not meant to hold this together. You're meant to let it move through you. The full moon isn't asking you to be strong, it's asking you to be real. To feel what's true, even when it's messy. To witness what's dying in you, not with panic, but with reverence. Because that death is sacred. It makes space for embodiment. For the soul to step fully into the body. For the divine within you to take root in your lived experience. This is where spiritual insight becomes spiritual embodiment, not as theory, but as lived truth. You no longer just know things. You start to become them. And that becoming isn't graceful at first. It's tender. It stumbles. It cries. It trembles. But it's real. And realness will always be more powerful than performance. So if you feel disoriented, if the ground beneath you feels unstable, if your emotions won't stay quiet, don't try to silence them. Stay with them. They are the signals of change, the voice of the body confirming what the soul already knows. You are not falling apart. You are falling inward. And in that falling, the truth of you, the one unshaken by cycles, seasons, or expectations, begins to rise. The illusion of who you needed to be is fading. The space that opens in its place may feel like a void. But it's not emptiness. It's readiness. It's invitation. It's the beginning of embodiment. And as uncomfortable as this phase is, it's more honest than anything you've lived before. There is no need to rush. Becoming is not a task. It is a movement. A remembering. A surrender. Let the old self fall quietly. Let the emotions surge and pass. Let the stillness wrap around what remains. And in that stillness, something new will begin to take form, not in theory, but in you. What you're moving through may not feel graceful. It may not look like healing. But that's because sacred disruption rarely arrives dressed in comfort. It comes in waves. In unravelings. In moments that feel like undoing. But make no mistake, this is not ruin. This is remaking. The pieces that are falling away were never your foundation. They were the scaffolding built from fear, survival, and silence. And now, they're being removed so your true structure can emerge. This discomfort, this disorientation, this strange stretch between the old and the new, it's not the end of your stability. It's the beginning of your real alignment. You are not being punished. You are being answered. This is what you once prayed for in silence. The breakthrough that needed to shake you. The transformation that couldn't happen as long as everything stayed the same. And now, the moon has pulled back the veil, and something in you is too awake to go back. You don't have to rush to feel normal again. You don't need to reclaim who you were before this began. That version of you served its purpose. Now, something deeper is being called forward, something more rooted in soul than in survival. Let the process complete itself. Let the wave finish moving through you before you judge what it means. This is the space where the old dissolves and the new has not yet taken full form. And that space is holy. Not everyone will understand what you're carrying. Not everyone will feel what you feel. But that's because this work is intimate. It's quiet. It happens below the surface, where language often fails. And yet, you know. Your body knows. Your dreams know. The timing of it all speaks in a language you didn't learn, you remembered. So stay here, if you can. Stay close to the tremble. Stay near the edge where your old self ends and your next self begins to breathe. Don't rush to explain it. Don't shrink it to fit someone else's comfort. This is your threshold. And crossing it will ask for your presence more than your performance. If you feel the current still working in you, let it be known. Leave a word or a phrase in the comments, something simple, like, I feel it. It's not for attention. It's for confirmation. A signal that you're listening, that you're present for what's unfolding. And if this message resonates with the movement in your spirit, subscribe. Not for updates. For alignment. For the reminder that you're not walking through this alone. The full moon didn't pass you by. It's still speaking. And you're still inside the shift.